What if I told you that everything you're chasing right now, the promotions, the perfect body, the bigger house, the approval of people who barely know your real name, what if all of it is quietly stealing the most valuable thing you have? Time. I'm 89 years old. I'm sitting in a small hospital room backyard with a window that looks out over a parking lot, not a beach, not a mountain, not anything beautiful. Just rows of cars coming and going, people rushing to places they think matter. The doctors don't speak in months anymore, they speak in days. And when you get to this age, when your body starts shutting doors one by one, you realize something that no one ever tells you when you're young. There are no warning bells, no countdown clock, no moment where life taps you on the shoulder and says, "This is your last chance." One day you're busy, the next day you're done. And that's why I'm talking to you now, not to be inspirational, not to tell you to live, laugh, love, but because I am angry at myself in a way that is impossible to describe. I lived a long life, yes, but I did not live it well. I spent decades being responsible, being impressive, being admired. I was a corporate executive for most of my life. Not famous, not powerful in the way history remembers, but powerful enough to miss birthdays, enough to miss holidays, enough to tell myself that I was building something important. I climbed every ladder they put in front of me. I earned respect, money, titles, a beautiful home I barely sat inside. And now I'm here, with a thin blanket, a plastic cup of water I can barely swallow, and nothing to show for all those sacrifices except memories of what I didn't do. People think old age comes with wisdom. What it really comes with is clarity. When you know there are no more chapters left, you finally see which pages were worth reading and which ones were just noise. I had children. I had a husband. I had people who loved me, and I treated them like background music while I chased applause from strangers. I used to say, "I'll slow down soon, after this project, after this promotion, after things settle." Things never settled. Life doesn't settle. It moves, and if you don't move with it, it leaves you behind. Now I sit here watching nurses come in and out, listening to the beeping of machines that are doing work my body no longer can. And all I can think is how strange it is that it took dying for me to finally feel awake. I don't want your sympathy. I want your attention because you are standing where I once stood, believing that you have time, believing that the real living starts later. And that belief is the most dangerous lie you will ever tell yourself. When I was younger, I truly believed I was doing everything right. I didn't waste time. I didn't drift. I didn't gamble on dreams. I was practical, disciplined, respected. I told myself that love could wait, that joy could wait, that rest could wait, because success couldn't. Success demanded everything, and I gave it gladly, the way people give to a God they think will save them. I was married to a good man. His name was Thomas. He laughed easily. He loved old movies and walking through parks for no reason at all. When we were first together, he used to pull me outside just to watch the sunset. I used to smile and go with him. Over time, I stopped going. I had calls to make, emails to answer, meetings that couldn't wait. So he would stand by the door with his coat on, waiting for me to finish just one more thing. And eventually, he stopped asking. We had 2 children. I loved them, but in the way people love things they think will always be there. I fed them, clothed them, made sure their futures were secure, but I was rarely present. I was always somewhere else in my mind, always planning, always chasing, always worried about what came next. I told myself I was being a good mother. Now I know I was being an absent one. I missed school plays because of conferences. I missed birthdays because of deadlines. I missed quiet mornings because I was already mentally at work before my feet touched the floor. And the cruelest part? I kept telling myself I was doing it for them, that one day when everything was built, when everything was paid off, when everything was perfect, I would finally have time to sit, to laugh, to breathe, to be with them. That day never came, because the moment you reach one goal, another one appears, and if you don't know when to stop, you never will. Thomas used to say to me, "You're always somewhere else." I would laugh and tell him he was being dramatic, but he wasn't. He was lonely, and I didn't see it until it was too late. One evening years ago, he told me he didn't feel like my husband anymore. He felt like something I scheduled. I promised him I would slow down. I never did. And now he's gone. Not because he died, but because we drifted so far apart that we forgot how to reach each other. That's how life leaves you. Not all at once, but quietly while you're busy. And you don't even notice until the silence gets too loud to ignore. There comes a moment in every long life when you finally have to tell yourself the truth. Mine came far too late. I remember sitting at a reunion many years ago, surrounded by people I used to compete with. We compared salaries, houses, vacations, grandchildren. All the usual markers people use to measure a life. Everyone was smiling, everyone was polite, but something felt hollow about the entire room, like we were all trying to convince each other that we had won a game no one actually enjoyed playing. And then there was Eleanor. She had been in my college dorm back when we were both 20 and convinced we had endless time. Eleanor had dropped out to become a painter. I thought she was reckless. I thought she was throwing away her future. She walked into that reunion with wrinkles, soft hands stained faintly with paint, and eyes that still looked curious about the world. She wasn't rich. She didn't have anything impressive to say about her career. But when she talked about her life, people leaned in. She talked about the places she'd been, the people she'd loved, the mistakes she'd made, the joy she'd felt, and I realized something that made my stomach twist. She had stories. I had a resume. I went home that night to my quiet house, to my beautiful furniture I rarely used, to my framed certificates on the wall, and I felt smaller than I ever had in my life. Eleanor had lived. I had performed. Not long after that, she came to visit me. We sat in my spotless living room, and she asked me what made me happy. I couldn't answer, not because nothing did, but because I had forgotten how to listen to myself. Everything in my life had become about being useful, productive, impressive. I didn't know how to simply be anymore. I didn't know what I liked, what I wanted, what brought me peace. Eleanor took my hands and said, "You don't have to earn your right to exist." That sentence has followed me for decades. I just didn't understand it in time. Because when you spend your whole life proving your worth, you forget that you were worthy before you ever did a single thing. And by the time I realized that, most of my time was already gone. There is a dangerous lie that follows us our entire lives. It sounds gentle, reasonable, responsible. Later I'll rest. Later I'll travel. Later I'll spend more time with the people I love. Later when things slow down. Later when I deserve it. I built my entire life on that word. Years passed in a blur of calendars and obligations. My children grew tall while I wasn't looking. Thomas's hair turned gray before I noticed. We stopped dreaming out loud. We stopped planning things just because they sounded beautiful. One night, Thomas asked me if I still wanted to go to Paris, a trip we'd talked about since we were young. I told him, maybe next year. There was never a next year. He died quietly in his sleep 5 years later, and the suitcase we bought for that trip is still in my closet, untouched. Do you know what haunts you at the end of life? Not the big failures, the small refusals, the evenings you said you were too tired to sit and talk, the weekends you stayed busy instead of being close, the times you chose productivity over presence, Those moments don't feel important when you're young. They become everything when you're old. I don't remember most of the meetings I attended. I don't remember the numbers I chased. I don't remember the titles I earned. But I remember the way my daughter looked when she wanted me to listen. I remember the warmth of Thomas's hand when he held mine. I remember the laughter that slowly faded as life got louder. And now in this quiet room, I finally understand something I wish I had known decades ago. You don't run out of time all at once. You run out of moments one by one. And every time you say later, you're choosing not to live today. Hospice is a strange place. It's where the world finally slows down enough for people to tell the truth. You see faces here that are no longer pretending. No one is trying to impress anyone. No one is racing anywhere. There is nothing left to prove, just people sitting with what remains of their lives. Some visitors come in bitter, some come in afraid, some come in full of stories. And then there was Margaret. She was 89, the same age I am now, and she volunteered here every Tuesday and Thursday. She walked slowly, but her eyes were bright, the kind of bright you only get when you have really lived. We started talking one afternoon while she helped me with a puzzle. I asked her how she stayed so peaceful. She said, "I stopped waiting." Her husband had died when she was 52. One moment they were planning a vacation, the next moment he was gone. And instead of shrinking, instead of postponing her life, she expanded it. She sold her house. She bought a small camper. She traveled for 15 years. She learned to paint. She learned to dance. She fell in love again. She said yes to things that scared her. I realized, she told me, that tomorrow is not promised. So I made today my home. She had less money than I ever did, fewer comforts, fewer guarantees, but she had more life in her eyes than I ever felt in my body. And sitting there in my hospital bed, I understood something that cut deeper than any diagnosis ever could. I didn't fail because I didn't succeed. I failed because I waited to live. When you get close to the end, life becomes very simple. Not easy, simple. The noise falls away, the arguments, the ambitions, the endless wanting, all of it fades until only the truth is left. And the truth is this: we are not remembered for what we achieved. We are remembered for how we made people feel. I don't think about my job anymore. I don't think about my bank account or the things I bought or the reputation I worked so hard to protect. I think about hands, the way Thomas used to hold mine when we crossed the street, the way my daughter's hand fit inside mine when she was small, the way people reach for each other when they're afraid. Those are the things that last. Every day here, I watch families come in. Some sit close, whispering and laughing softly. Some stand awkwardly, unsure of what to say, because they never learned how to be together without distraction. The difference between them is not luck, it's choice. They chose each other while there was still time. I didn't. And that is the grief I live with now, not the fear of dying, the sorrow of not having truly lived. So if you are listening to this, if you are young or tired or busy or convinced that real life will start later, please hear me. Later is a story we tell ourselves so we don't have to feel the cost of now. There will always be another deadline, another responsibility, another reason to wait, but the people you love will not always be there. Your body will not always be strong. This moment will never come back. I would give anything and anything to sit on a couch again and watch a boring movie with someone I love, to drink coffee slowly, to walk without pain, to laugh without remembering what I lost. You still can. So do not postpone your life. Say yes more often. Put your phone down, take the trip, have the conversation, hold the hand, go outside, be present, because one day, sooner than you think, all you will have left is memory. And I promise you, Memories are built from moments you choose to live, not from achievements you chase. I am 89 years old. My time is almost gone. Yours is not. So please use it.